I can't help anybody that doesn't want to be helped. I knew the principles that needed to exist and what needed to be true. And then I put the people in place to make sure that we hit those principles. That one connection, that one individual that you talk to could be a complete game changer.
Welcome everyone to this episode of Build Stuff, Be Kind. We have the founder of Main Street Growth Partners, a longtime friend, Devyn Gillespie. Stoked to have you today, dude. We're gonna cover some good stuff.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. So let's start with you in the last, what has it been, a year or so, you transitioned from kind of more of the corporate job market to starting this venture. What's that process been like?
Just been a recent transition. I going back a little bit further, as I was an entrepreneur for 7 years, did my own thing, had a couple different businesses, got pulled into, the W-2 life again by a friend of mine. No regrets, great experience. Did that for about 7 years. So I'm one of those guys. I've kind of folled that pattern, every 7 years,
All right.
The Matrix has got me in that routine.
Yep.
Oh, just kidding. So, was it a venture-backed startup, high growth, high burn of capital to hit those growth targets? Was a wild ride. That was about 4 years of it. That company acquired the company that I had gone back into the W-2 world with. Within the last few months, last year-ish, transitioned out of that to start my own thing, Main Street Growth Partners, and bring all of this foundational knowledge that I have through my own businesses that I've operated in the past, and then seeing a whole different world in the venture startup space, and bring it all full circle back to founders, small business owners, and taking this kind of wealth of knowledge that has been amassed over the last 15 plus years and helping businesses move forward and succeed.
I love that. What was going through your mind, like emotionally? Like, was it something you were excited for to kind of get back into the entrepreneurial world? Was it scary, for family? Those transitions, I think, always bring up a lot of different emotion. I'm sure there was days of ups and downs, but is there something that stands out from kind of knowing, hey, this is either ending or something that I'm transitioning out of to doing my own thing? Like what was going through your mind at that time?
Yeah, I think anyone, when you're consciously thinking about changes, is you should also consciously make steps or take steps to enable those changes and ideally help them be successful, right? So, going through that journey and having the experience that I had, and just being an entrepreneur at heart and kind of a CEO at heart. And I've always, in my roles in a W-2 position with these other companies, was a leader, managed others, open markets, built things, right? So I always kept that entrepreneurial side, even as a W-2 employee working for somebody else. And ultimately knew like my path was going to take me back to having my own thing again, right? So then it just became of like, well, what is that thing, right? What is that product or service that could bring value to, other people on their journey, and maybe help bring them some peace of mind or whatever else through my experience and knowledge. Personally, I believe our experiences are to benefit us, but more importantly, to benefit other people, right? Like, what have you learned? What have you been through? And how can you bring somebody along a little bit further in their journey, based on what you've done or what you've learned, right? It's kind of the selfless way of thinking about our afflictions, if you will, right? Some of the challenges we go through. So yes, when I was kind of knowing that it was getting to that time and that I was going to be ready to go out on my own again, took some steps to prepare financially and everything like that, right? And put myself in a position so that this could be successful and that I could help others. But never easy. If an entrepreneur tells you that like the path is easy and there's no stress and it's simple and like they're not doing it right, or maybe they've got some secret sauce that I don't have or I haven't developed yet.
I think if they're doing something meaningful and trying to charge on maybe a different path or make their own path, I think it's in my experience, one day euphoria, the next day absolute what the hell am I doing? And and the sky is falling, and then the next day back at it. You know, it's just those ups and downs. Yeah,
I think I'm pretty fortunate. Like the majority of my career and being a business owner or you know, working for somebody else, even working for somebody else, like it was sales, right? And you know, that's the foundation of most of what I've done has been sales. Even owning my businesses. And the great thing about sales is, man, it builds resiliency, builds character. You get used to the up and down and and just, you know, either you develop a maniacal focus on your goal and get undeterred. Right. You can still have the emotions and experience those things, which is healthy. But learning to not lose sight of what you're working towards, what all of those challenges are actually going to bring to you in the end. That's the blessing of ending up in sales. And most people end up in sales, right? Like that's typically not and saying not most people as in the population ends up in sales, but most people that do sales ended up there generally not by choice, right? It's like, oh yeah, this isn't working out. Oh, I'm kind of good at this. And so I'll do it.
And every business needs, like, you gotta have sales. You gotta drive growth. You gotta, a huge need for every business.
Yeah. So I'm grateful for the journey, grateful for the opportunity to build resilience through rejection, making cold calls, getting told no for hours and hours every day. All that kind of stuff was good to go through, and it helps, you know, as it's benefited me, but more importantly, like I already mentioned, it's helped me build others. Right. And help sharpen them and develop their skills. And as an entrepreneur or a business leader, people manager, whatever, for me, and this isn't true for everybody, but it's true for me, like that's where I find the most fulfillment is providing either opportunities or, you know, seeing someone apply coaching that I've given them and at work and them being more successful because of it. Like that's where I get a lot of satisfaction and what gets me up in the morning.
Yeah, that's awesome. Through your journey of, you know, entrepreneur to employee and now back to entrepreneur, what have you observed in people who are successful, whether they were leaders kind of above you or executives in the organization or team members that worked with you or that you managed? What are some of the core personality traits or soft skills that you really see collectively these people have?
Yeah, great question. And as an entrepreneur, we have to wear a lot of hats, right? And we have to be pretty good at a lot of things, and maybe don't have the time or ability to master something. The interesting thing in the corporate world, and I reported into the C-suite. My boss was the CBO, and then my peers were all VPs, and these were all high level professionals, right? Me, I made it through ASU. I didn't have an MBA from an Ivy League school like a lot of my peers did and the C-suite did. So I always felt like a bit of an outsider, and also use that opportunity on these different retreats that we had with our senior leadership team. I was one of 16 in senior leadership, right? Cool. And probably the least educated, you know, from a traditional sense. But the thing that I observed and that I learned in that world, when you get to that kind of scale, is it's kind of a relief. You don't have to be good at everything. Like you can be really good at like what your core responsibilities are. For me, I had a sales team. We had to produce at a really high number. We set records in the industry. We did things nobody had ever done before in the industry and property management specifically, closing deals, building teams. Like it was amazing. And I was great at that. And I was great at running that team. But I wasn't a CFO. Like our CFO and his team of finance people, they could work a spreadsheet like I've never seen anybody work a spreadsheet before, right? That was their skill, that was their talent. They could run circles around me, right? Our VP of marketing, super creative, like understood brand, like could design things, put together a brief, like very specific, really dialed in skill set. Our CEO, kind of a he knew enough about everything and could connect and find the right people, right? Like he knew how to get the right people around him to make the overall company function, right? So that was probably the biggest learning. And maybe this is not an aha for other people, but going from being an entrepreneur to a W-2 and being in like the inner circle at the top, being like, okay, cool. Like, it's okay to be really good at one thing. I don't have to do it. You don't have to do all the things all the time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I've always wondered if like I've never really worked. I mean, I've had jobs, but never in a large organization and that level of efficiency of like differentiation of skill sets and decision making and tools. Like it's just interesting to kind of peel that curtain back a little.
Yeah, and it brings its whole other set of challenges too. Like we were almost 1,000 employees. My direct team at one time I had 150 people. I had 5 or 6 different departments, maybe even more than that. Like really big organization. And then there's like the politics of all of that, you know. So those kind of mechanics of business, if you will, that develop when you get big, but I tried to not let any of that kind of get in the way of progress, you know, controlled what I could control. I'm a big fan of that. Like there's only so much a single person can influence or have an impact on. And if you start with like what's closest around you, then that can radiate further outwards. So I was just trying to maintain, you know, that kind of mindset or mentality of like, I'm just going to influence the people closest to me in the best ways possible, and then let that kind of ripple out, right? And almost put blinders on and stay focused on that.
Yeah, that's cool. What kind of sales like strategies or things could you share with the audience or with people who are, you know, obviously you had a huge team, a very like specific target, but are there things that you learned in that high growth kind of large scale environment that could apply to a business like Honey House or, you know, other businesses where they can really look at sales maybe in a different way or look at their growth through the lens of sales in a way? Because a lot of people hate sales or they don't want to, you know, there's definitely this like love or hate relationship with sales, but how do you approach sales in a way that contributes to growth and is something that people can really get behind?
Yeah. The best way to love sales is to find a way to make sure that you're always talking to people that you want to be talking to, right? Identify who your perfect client is as early as possible. You're not going to be a good fit for everybody. Don't try and be. That sounds a little bit rudimentary, right? It's like, okay, well that sounds neat, Devin, but how? Right? How do we get in front of the people that we want to be talking to? Well, that's one why I have a business at this point, is I help with that. And I'll give you kind of three things that you can focus on to help, you know, increase your probability of getting in front of your ideal client. And the first one again is identify them. Who do you want to speak to? Who are you? Right? What are your values? What do you care about? Like what's meaningful to you? And as much as we all want to think that we're special, we're not. There's a lot of people that are just like us, right? And generally you're going to get along with people that you share, especially the same values with. And I would start with that. Like, what do you value? Be very public about that. And that'll help bring more people into your circle that share those same values with you. In fact, the reason that opposites attract, interests bring us together, but values are what keep us together. That's what keep most marriages or relationships or anything else is shared values. So apply that to your business, right? And that will help you. So do an exercise to understand, like, what are my values? What are my company values? And then be vocal about that. Right. That'll bring people in. Learn how to get to no or yes quickly, right? So it's not always going to be those people that are the right fit coming in. Ask a few questions, right? I'm a big fan of discovery. And this is if you hate sales, just get good at discovery. And discovery is asking questions, right? Figure out what a good set of questions is that you can ask somebody to where you can get to no or yes quickly, right? It's respectful. The thing that we are all limited by is time, right? So it's respectful to them and to you to get to a no or yes quickly. And it's like, if there's nothing here, then cool. Totally. Like, go spend your time finding the right fit for you, right? If it's not going to be me, that's the right thing to do. So figure out how to get to no or yes quickly. And then when you get to yes quickly, understand what value you're going to be able to deliver them, and then know how to articulate that value. And that'll help you kind of get to one where you're attracting the right people, repelling the wrong people. And then when you have the right people around you, you're able to do business together. And it doesn't feel like selling anymore when you get to that state.
That's so fun. Like, that resonates so much because sales is not a strong suit of mine, or hasn't been in the past. I'm improving on that. But over the past few months, we've really shifted our focus to, like, we want to speak to founders. Like, we want to help founders. We want to build with founders. We want to help them launch podcasts. We want to help them tell their story. We want to help them grow as the individual to help compound the growth of the business. And it's like, that's who I feel like I am. That's kind of the energy that I want to be around, the people I want to have conversations with. And it's like, it's so true what you're saying, because as you were saying, it's like, oh yeah, man, that, like, the conversations are now conversations. Like, yes, I'm potentially selling, but it's like, I just want to get to know them. I want to understand what they're trying to accomplish. I can connect and relate to them because I understand who they are. Where before I was like, oh, we can do all these things and we want to just help everyone. And that's been super helpful. So
yeah. And why we're talking as well, right? And so you understand, I want to talk to founders, and then founders that share my values. Like, what are you passionate about? What do you care about? Find people that care about those same things that are also founders. And now you're going to create a funnel, right, of people that you want to be talking to. And then sales can get a lot more. I was actually on a call with a client of mine before this, and talking about, he has an operations background, 10 to 15 years, and he's kind of transitioned into a sales role. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm operations, I could never be sales. And sales people are like, oh, I can never be operations. Here's a quick gut check: is the best salespeople are very operational. That's right. My top producers were systematic about how they went about selling, right? And it was step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It was an operation. And so that was the conversation that I was having with him, and doing some discovery with him, and then some coaching, is like, this doesn't have to be scary, right? Like, this is who you are. It's what you've done for 15 years. And the top producing salespeople are operational.
100%.
So
I think it's funny because I think same with creatives. Like, as creatives, we think, oh, you got to be, free flowing, but when you can have a system that enables you to be free flowing, you have a system that, like, a process, a consistency, like, then you can really maximize, like, those results. And I think that's interesting. As you launch this, how long has it been since you launched Main Street Growth?
It's the end of last year. Like, I left my company in November and had this up and running in December. Cool. So just a few months.
what are some of the core values, the core things that, because I'm sure just like aligning to your ideal clients, you're looking to align with partners, employees, team as you build this out. What are some core values that you're bringing into Main Street Growth Partners that you feel like help drive client, but also like the team and individuals you're trying to bring into your organization?
Yeah. Yeah. And this is, what I've just talked about is what I'm applying to my business. So there's a certain kind of persona, if you will, and that's like the more technical term. And there's firms that will do whole research studies for you to help you identify your ideal persona, like age, race, income, like all those types of things. Right. So for me, it would be founders. And from a value standpoint, it's like they value information, they value education, they value openness, they value learning. So, right. Like I can't help anybody that doesn't want to be helped.
Totally.
Do I know for a fact that I can help somebody that wants to be helped? 100%. Like I have full confidence. Like if you're willing to be receptive to information, I can help transform your business. Right. I have a founder that I'm working with right now. Guy's phenomenal. He's built 3 businesses, 7-figure businesses, essentially by himself, like insane. From nothing, transitioned from the medical world into these ventures, and has made it like scrappy, like, intuitive. And he's still humble enough to be like, I know when I need help. I know when I need to hire somebody. I know that I don't know it all. I know that I can get more organized. Like he knows what he doesn't know, right? Which is kind of the inverse of that saying, you don't know what you don't know. Like he knows what he doesn't know, and he's willing to bring in help. I have another one that I'll be at all next week working with him and his team. Same type of thing. He took over the family business. He's turned it around over the last few years in taking it over. And he's like, I need my sales reps to just be able to be self-sufficient and handle challenges and not bring everything to me. Right. And he doesn't know how to get them there himself. So he's open and willing to bring in outside help and be like, what do I do? Help me out here. And so spend some time with him in person for a week, with his reps for a week, and then have some ongoing coaching to help transition him out of working in the business all the time to being able to work on the business more often, right? And open new stores. He's a jeweler, right? Small jeweler in New Hampshire, wants to open more stores and everything else. And from a value standpoint for him as well, he cares about the customer deeply, cares about the customer experience, wants to make sure that they feel that they can trust him and that they're respected, and that he's, the jewelry business, as I'm learning more and more. And that's the great thing about what I do, is I don't have to know everything about every business, about third-party logistics, jewelers, video production, all kinds of different clients that I talk to and working with. The principles of growth apply across the spectrum, right? It's the same with sales. I have a detailed sales training that I'll take people through. A great sales process and great sales techniques apply everything, whether you're selling a service, a product, or whatever. So that's what's really fun about what I get to do is I get to talk and work with these entrepreneurs, these founders in all different industries, learn more about the industry, and then help bring some of my background knowledge and expertise to what they're doing to help them continue to scale up.
That's super cool. I love that. I think it's such an interesting, realization. I think a few things as you're talking, like being in that group of your 16, other VPs and people, like, yes, people have their core knowledge, but also you get in those rooms and you realize like everyone's just figuring it out. It's like you're applying your skill set and your knowledge and but like we're all just figuring it out as we go. We're taking the information we get in the moment and we're making the decision based on, a number of factors. And I think it's something that relates also to this, that whatever industry you're going into, you can apply these principles because it's how you receive the information, digest that information, and apply that information.
And your attitude you take into the situation,
Totally.
right? So had I ever built, so I mentioned I had 150 person, like all those teams were part of my organization. The sales specifically were 70 people. Had I ever in my life built a 70 person sales organization? No, I'd never had.
Yeah.
And I did it. Why? Because I just believed that I could, right?
100%.
I was like, F it, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, like this is what needs to get done. I'm just going to have the right attitude to make it happen and get it done and line up. Like I knew the principles that needed to hold true, right? Like, you know, respond to leads in less than 5 minutes and you're 7 times more likely to convert and win that business. I'm like, okay, that's easy, right? Like let's put a team in place to make sure that we can do that. Right. And then we started doing that really well. Okay. Now we need to make sure that we follow up for the ones that we don't close, that we have a process to follow up. And then you just kind of build line upon line. And next thing you know, you've got a 70 person sales organization that's setting records. Right. So, but I didn't know how to do that. Like, from a high level because I'd done it before. Like I knew the principles that needed to exist and what needed to be true. And then I put the people in place to make sure that we hit those principles and made those principles happen.
I love that. Just from, you know, the conversations we've had and we've known each other for a long while and we've been chatting more recently about all of these things and something that, I don't even know if we've spoken specifically to this topic, but it feels and rings very true. And even the fact that in your business name, you have the word partners. I feel, and let's go down this path of your focus with the businesses you help, with the mentality you bring to all these conversations is a very long-term, like partnership, a long-term benefit. Even if you work with someone and it's a 1 month engagement, like you're putting in the tools and the mindset that this is going to propel them years down the road. One is that how you work, and 2, like what is it that really motivates you with that long-term mentality?
Totally. Yeah. There's no, you know, just like I guess maybe there's more of this now. There's no magic pill for weight loss, right? Like you can't just take it and stay skinny. Like there's no magic pill for growth either. Like it is a process and it is work and it is daily, right? Just like maintaining a healthy figure or whatever else, it's going to take that work and it's going to be, you know, some people need a lot more, you're right. And so that engagement is going to be a little bit longer and some people are further along, right? And they don't need as much time. So I think the real value that I can bring and do bring to founders in their businesses is meeting them where they're at, right? So really assessing their situation, what's happening in their business, meeting them where they're at, and then crafting a plan specific to them and what their needs are based on where they're at right now, right? Yeah. The clients that I'm working with in different disparate industries, they all have a different plan. Because they're all in different places, they're in different industries. There's fundamentals that need to be installed in each one of them to help ensure their success. But yeah, it's a partnership because I don't just have a product that I'm, you know, flashing that will, you know, solve all your problems. Like, unfortunately, like, you know, some of that stuff works out for people and most of the time it doesn't, right? Because you buy the product, you get sold and you buy a product. Great. Now I have it. Well, who's going to implement it? Totally. Who's going to manage it? Who's going to make sure that we're following through on all this stuff 100%. That comes along with it, right? Generally, that's where the ball gets dropped and things fail. So it's a partnership. Like I'm going to sit here with you and go on this journey with you to make sure that we don't drop the ball along the way and that everything that we talk about doing, we actually do.
Yeah. Dang, I love that. What's 1 or 2 things that you'd recommend to a business to really be thoughtful of when they're thinking about the growth stage of their business? They're trying to, you know, compound the growth. They're at that point of like, hey, I know I've got something good here. How do we really start to elevate that? Are there anything that come to mind?
Yeah. Be intentional with your ROI. If you're going to put $1 into something, know how you're going to get $3 or $4 back from that, right? It can be very easy to spend. And this is, again, I saw it in venture-backed startups. Like it was not anymore, right? The dynamic has changed, but it was grow at all costs. Totally. And money was, and it is a tool, right? And it was just like, we're going to put money here and money here and money here to hit growth. And the thing that I remained consistent on with my team was every lead that hits your inbox that's in Salesforce that you're responsible for absolutely matters. Yeah. Right. We don't know the value of that lead, long-term, short-term, or anything else. Like we do not burn leads on this team. If a lead comes in, you are going to work that lead and here's the process for it. Right. And if you instill kind of that mindset of how valuable each lead is, and this has been true for my whole career early on in real estate and running a team and everything else, is that one connection, that one individual that you talk to could be a complete game changer. Totally. Right? Absolute game changer for you. So and you don't know until you actually get the chance to talk to them, right? So if you're getting a name, an email, and a phone number, that is a piece of absolute gold. Or maybe it's a little pebble, like it doesn't turn into anything. Yeah. But you'll never know unless you properly work it and make that connection and do your discovery and get to know her. Yes. Yeah. Right.
Dang. I love that. I think that's such a valuable insight of just like, you never know what conversation or what, especially when you're like every dollar matters and you're really trying to grow and it's like, and I think that's where a good process comes into play. So you don't let those things fall through the cracks.
Yep. We tend to just like continue to chase the next thing. And then we're dismissive of like the trail of dust behind us. Right. And it's like, there's nuggets all back in that trail of dust, so let's get good at mastering if we're going to spend $1 to try and generate business, if something comes in from that, like we are going to be intentional about getting $2, $3, $4, $5 back from that dollar, right? Before we move on to the next thing, or give up or whatever else, right? And there's a certain stage where a lead is a dead lead and you don't need to spend any more time on it. That's also getting to know quickly, right? But that's not okay until you've gone through the process of figuring out if there's something there or not. And even then, recycle it, work it, reach back out in 6 months, like a database. You never know. Everybody listening out there, if you don't have a database, if you don't have a CRM, start one today, right? Even if it's on a spreadsheet, like put names, phone numbers, email addresses, and some notes about that individual and build that database out. That's the only way to make money long-term in anything that you're doing. You have to have that database.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. What's on the horizon? What's the 2024 goal for Main Street Growth Partners?
Yeah. Kind of like you, like I want to help as many founders as I can, right? Whatever that looks like to move their business forward, however that looks, I want to do that. I have pretty specific targets around that personally want to achieve. But for me, this is another one of my values and something that I would look for in a partner is an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset, right? Is I believe that there's a ton of opportunity out there for me, for you, and we can help each other discover what more of that opportunity is. I can do that with other people, and that there is so much opportunity. We could work forever and never even scratch the surface on how much opportunity there is out there for us. Right. So for me, it's, yes, I'm pretty intentional about who I want to be working with, like the founder, what they look like and what their business size is. Like there's probably a certain stage they need to be at. And in fact, I know there's a certain stage they need to be at for me to be most effective with them. But even if they're not to that stage yet, and I can provide them value, I don't care about fees or anything like that. Like if it's a little bit of information or a lead or a resource or whatever else, like I want to do that for people. That stuff always comes back. And I learned that pretty early on from a mentor of mine who was always just looking for ways to help other people.
Yeah.
the guy never asked for a penny for it, right? Like he wasn't ever trying to get $1 from helping people, connecting people. And to this day, he's still helping me, connecting me.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's always come back to him, right? Like I contracted him for 3 years in my last company, and he provided coaching to all of my sales reps for 3 years. It was a great engagement for him.
Yeah.
Did he ever ask for that? Absolutely not. Did I just hand him the contract? Be like, I need you to come here and do this for my team.
Yeah.
Right. And so he's a great example of that. And I've also seen how it has come full circle for him. And again, through the whole thing, has always remained humble, has never, this isn't the best sales coaching, but has never really asked for the business.
Yeah.
My sales reps, I would always say, you have to ask for the business.
For sure.
But he's just at that stage in life where it's like, he's cool either way. Doesn't need it and doesn't want it. If it comes to him, he'll do it.
Yep. I love that.
But he doesn't have commission breath.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is something like you can feel it. There's people who just embody that, like connect and provide value. And it does it like there's always that it could be 6 months, it could be 6 years, it could be 20 years down the road, but like it always comes back.
Yeah. I think Alex Hormozy has been a good kind of thought leader on that reciprocity, right?
Totally.
And he's more tactical about it. Like give somebody this and then ask for something, right? And they're more inclined to give it to you. But the principle of reciprocity is totally true, right? And it's just human nature. And I don't think there's anything wrong or manipulative about it, right? Yeah. It's like, if you're doing it for the right reasons, if you're helping somebody, like it's naturally going to create in most people, especially your people, right? The people that you want to be working with, this desire to give back to you, right? Once you've provided something to them. So, and again, whether something came back to me or not, I don't care. Like that's not what it's about. It is about helping somebody in the moment based on the experiences and knowledge and everything that I've been through. If I see a way that I can help them, I will do it.
Yeah. I love it. We have a question we ask every guest at the end of every episode. What role has kindness played in building your success? Yeah,
kindness is everything. And go back to that mentor that I just talked about. Like that's the ultimate kindness, right? Like doing something for others without any expectation of anything coming back, right? Like that's just pure, genuine kindness. Great example. And then as a leader, having large teams and multiple people reporting to me and then reporting to other people and my peers and everything else like that was, I think at the end of the day, people want to people want to like working with you and people want to like working for you. So be somebody that will be liked. Yeah. And kindness is one, easy to do. Like it's a choice. So just make the choice to be kind to other people. Totally. And if you do that, people will want to work with you. They'll want to work for you and you can get better results faster with that kind of engagement from your peers and direct reports in the corporate world lingo.
No doubt.
It's critical.
I love it.
Yep.
Thanks, dude.
Absolutely.
It's been a good combo. Thanks everyone for tuning in to this episode. Devyn Gillespie, if you need help growing your business, hit him up. Where's the best place for people to find you?
Yeah, you can go to growmysmallbiz.com. Growmysmallbiz.com is my website.
Yeah, we'll put that link in the info as well. Hit up Devin. He's he, as you can tell, always willing to provide value, and I appreciate that in you. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next time.